Good Saturday evening. It is January the 6th, 2018. Welcome to this week's weekly weather briefing, where we do have a lot to talk about. A lot is coming at us this week. The first thing, a wintry mix possible tomorrow, and on Monday, rain, freezing rain, and sleet are all going to be a problem tomorrow, no matter how warm it gets, and it's going to cause some messy travel. Another thing is on Monday, or rather Tuesday morning, we're watching for freezing fog and/or freezing drizzle, or maybe a mix of both of them. But either way, temperatures on Tuesday morning going to be a little bit too close for comfort, in the lower to middle 30s, maybe even in the upper 20s with some fog and freezing drizzle. It's going to cause some problems, we think. Warmer temperatures coming in around midweek, watching Thursday through Saturday for a cold front to move through. Another Arctic plunge moves in next week, and a warmer second half of January is on tap, something I've been talking about all the way back to my winter forecast. First, let's talk about tomorrow with that mess coming in for Sunday and Monday. Road temperatures, and you probably would know this, are well below freezing. We've been through 2 straight weeks where we've had probably around less than 6 hours of temperatures reaching above freezing levels, and even then they were just by a degree or two. So we haven't seen a lot of warmer temperatures than freezing. We've been looking at well below average temperatures, and this has caused road and ground temperatures to go well below freezing, and this is going to cause a problem for tomorrow. I think that regardless of the temperatures, I think the warmest that we can get tomorrow would be like 37, 38 degrees. And even at that, that would still cause some problems with such cold roadways. I think this is going to cause those roadways, they will not warm as fast as you think they will. So I think that they're going to be slow to warm. And because they're so below freezing, even with them warming a little bit, still will be below freezing roadway temperatures. So it's going to cause some problems. For Sunday at 3 p.m., you see most of the map shows green, but we have pockets of freezing rain, and the models don't handle cold air very well here at the surface. Cold air is hard to dislodge at this time of the year. It's hard to get rid of. So sometimes the models want to bring in warmer temperatures too quick, and if the temperature is up to 33 degrees, it doesn't show any freezing rain, sleet, or snow. It just shows actually rain. So there really might be freezing rain, but the map might not show it when you look at your radar tomorrow. So make sure that you're aware of that. And also, even with us seeing plain old rain, with temperatures being slightly above freezing, we might still be looking at some problems across the roadways. Here's another look at Monday at 9 a.m. Notice we have that rain beginning to exit the area where we do have a period of rain and sleet and snow off to our north and east. We're just looking at mostly rain, but like I said, still might be causing some issues. Here's a look at a forecast sounding. Very complicated, but I'm going to point the things out that you need to know. At Sunday, 3 p.m., we're looking at the surface temperatures right here in the red, showing 38 degrees. This is the NAM model. I think that it is just a little bit too warm right now, but out of all the rest of the models, it's the coldest one. So I still don't really agree with any of the models right now as far as temperatures, just because I don't think they're handling this colder air as well as they usually would. With the temperature being even at 38, like I said, I think that's the warmest that we can get tomorrow, even if we do get that warm. Temperatures well above, well below freezing as we go up into the atmosphere. So this is going to always fall. This is going to come down, and this might be a sleet sounding right here. This might be falling as sleet because it might not melt as quick. Sleet is basically, and we'll show you this later on, where the raindrop comes, it melts just a little bit, but not all the way, and then it refreezes as a raindrop, so it just becomes sleet. And this is where we see not really that thick of a warm layer for that raindrop to melt all the way. So we might be looking at sleet at that time if we even have precipitation moving in by 3 p.m. on Sunday. By 9 p.m., we see a longer area, a longer nose of warm air pushing into the atmosphere. This is going to affect the precipitation. It's going to look like rain, but really it might be freezing on area surfaces, and it shows a temperature of 34 degrees at that time. That's a little bit too close for comfort. Here is what freezing rain is and how it forms. So when we have rain, we just have a solid warm layer. That snowflake just comes a little bit, and then it melts all the way to rain. When we look at freezing rain, we're looking at that snowflake melting into that raindrop, but it doesn't have enough time to refreeze like sleet does because the warm layer is so thick. So it just freezes on contact at the surface where it's below freezing or at freezing. At sleet, we're looking at just that snowflake melting into a raindrop, but it doesn't melt all the way. There's still a little ice core in the middle of it, and then it just refreezes as it is because it is so cold at the surface, and that thicker layer of cold air is there, but there's still that shallow layer of warm air, so that's why it still melts just a little bit. When we look at snow, the entire atmospheric column is at or below freezing, so we don't look at any icy problems with that. For Tuesday at 6 a.m., you notice that we are looking at a sounding. This is for the freezing fog, and that freezing drizzle potential, and we're looking at that atmosphere squeezing all the moisture out. This is what the sounding looked like on Christmas Eve. We had a lot of dry air well up above us, but really just right here at the surface, we saw low clouds. They squeezed a lot of that moisture out because we see that dew point and the temperature meeting up, which means the air is moist here at the surface, and that means that we are going to look at some low clouds, possibly fog, possibly drizzle. This is a very unique sounding, a very textbook sounding for fog, and with temperatures being at or below freezing, we could be looking at some problems going into Tuesday morning. Here's the warmer temperatures, probably what the first thing that you wanted to hear out of this whole video, and this is going to be short-lived. It's going to be around the middle of the week, and we could be looking at 60s possible for the first time in a long time, probably since the very first week of December, but it doesn't last long. By the time we get towards Thursday through Saturday, we see a system moving through. A cold front ushers in colder air. I'm confident about the cold front. What I'm not confident about is that possible second wave of energy that forms along the leading edge of the cold air. Wintry precip is possible on the backside of that cold front, on the backside of that second wave of energy. So we are looking at some problems going with this system as we go into Friday at 6 p.m. You notice that we see that second wave right here, that second wave of energy, and this is going to possibly cause problems if it forms. Usually with second waves of energy, the models are notorious for showing them well in advance of the actual event, and then as we draw closer, it loses that second wave. Hopefully it doesn't form for people that don't want that snow and ice. If you want the snow and ice, then you would want that second wave to form. And so there is confidence that this is there, but then there's confidence that it's not going to be there also. It's about a 50-50 shot right now. Here's a look at the 500 millibar Vortmax, the same time frame, same system. We're seeing that second wave right here, and you see it's pretty profound. So if this does form, and all of the models show it at this point, then it could cause some problems, and it also depends on the track. Another Arctic plunge comes in right after that system moves through on Sunday, or rather on Saturday, and we see that cold front ushering in much colder air as we go into Saturday through Wednesday. You can tell another shot of well below average temperatures, probably not near as cold as what we just dealt with, though. The warmer second half of January is something that I've been talking about since the beginning of December and the end of November when I made my winter forecast, and as you can tell, we are going to be looking at those models now starting to switch to that. I'm seeing other meteorologists start to switch to that, so it's pretty good that I'm starting to see people and actually models coming towards an idea that I've had for a really long time. There was a lot of people that were just saying colder than average, and I did forecast a colder than average winter, but there was people that said colder than average winter, but never really talked about those warmer risks. They just kind of said colder than average, and I acknowledged this, and I actually started to spit out time frames when we would be looking at warm-ups. I said right before Christmas, and we did, and I said around the second half of January, and we are. Now, a lot of people are talking about it and saying that historic January thaw that happens every single year, and it's hard to ignore it because it does happen just about every single year where we see that cold first half, that cold second half, but right in the middle, that transition period, if you want to call it that, we see some warmer air move its way into the area, and it might equal more precipitation. And sometimes in January, more precipitation is not always rain. It can be wintry precipitation as well. Probably warmer than average temperatures might be good news for people that want snow. The 15-day temperatures are showing that warm-up going into the middle of the week. We cool down going into the weekend and into the beginning of next week, and then you begin to see that stair-step warm-up as we go into Friday and Saturday around the 19th or the 20th. That's when we begin to see that second half of January warm-up really begin to kick in. Here's your overnight lows, just about the same trend, and you can tell that we're going to be going just above freezing possibly for overnight lows as we go into that second half of January. And also for that warm-up coming around the middle of the week, we might be looking at overnight lows not getting below 50 degrees. So we could be looking at also record-breaking warmth as well. It's crazy how we're going from one extreme to the next. 7-day precipitation totals show a mix of the system coming in tomorrow, whether it's rain, sleet, snow, ice, whatever. And then for the system coming in next weekend around Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame, not really nailing it down just yet on the timing. This is a mix of both of them showing that we see possibly around an inch of melted precipitation. That's it for this week. We're going to watch that icing event very closely tomorrow, but please remember that even where temperatures are just above freezing, there still might be problems. The roadways are extremely cold, well below freezing, so please take that to mind, and we'll see you on next weekend, possibly with snow on the ground if that next system forms some snow and ice across the region.